teacher, but due to its condition, he is forced to rent out. That notwithstanding, teachers posted to the Ada Pote Primary School have had to live in this dilapidated bungalow. 3 days ago, portions of the structure collapsed, compelling them to support it with a bamboo. The building has serious structural cracks. Most windows and doors have been inundated by termites.
The cracks all over the building, that has even prompted me to rush and then get some half bag of cement, patch, and then, I don't know, people in the community are even laughing at, oh teacher, why are you all around doing this by yourself? Say there's no option.
A check with the district assembly revealed some studies was only done in 1999. Residents want immediate action taken by the assembly and the Ministry of Education to rehabilitate the building to avert any calamity. Josephine Frempon, TV3, Ada Pote.
It's a worrying situation, a disaster waiting to occur. And we'll still steam on this because we're going to be getting a lot more answers from authorities about this. But an initial amount of almost $10 million is needed to be able to roll out government's intended multilateral mining integrated project, which aims at sanitizing the small-scale mining sector. The project coordinator, Dr. Isaac Kakari, revealed the Chinese government is willing to give a grant for this purpose.
The multilateral mining integrated project will be a holistic approach to combat illegal mining and relies on more than just militant and combat actions in mining communities. The project combines legislations, enforcement, civil integration and technical approach as a sustainable and structured but regimental conjoint concept which will encompass multi-stakeholders. The 5-year project, which is yet to be approved by Cabinet, was top of the issues discussed during a meeting held by departmental heads of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources at Ebri in the Eastern region. Coordinator of the project, Dr. Isaac Kakari, admitted it would be difficult to execute the project, but was confident it is the best way to sanitize the sector.
For a start, you need about $10 million to be able to put things right. And you remember, I'm looking at a incremental phased out approach. What is interesting and what is encouraging is that the Chinese embassy itself, and then the Australian embassy and the Israeli embassy are all prepared to help, and they can come in with funds. For this one, you don't need a loan, you need a grant.
Following the meeting with the Ivorian delegation 2 days ago, a Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Benito Osubio, says a team has been set up from both countries to ascertain the extent at which illegal mining is destroying water bodies in Ivory Coast.
This group would move to visit the Ivory Coast, have a look at what is happening there. We are all to blame a bit because it's citizens of our neighboring countries that are performing these acts. Because when you go to the mining or galamsey sites, who's actually doing the illegality is made up of Ivorians, Nigerians, Burkinabes, Malians, and also including our own Ghanaians.
The electricity company of Ghana in the Ashanti region has retrieved 25 illegal meters from a lotto agent at Kronum, a suburb of Kumasi. The suspect is alleged to be importing and selling the electric meters to some residents of Kumasi on the blind side of the ECG. Here's a report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
A team of ECG officials detected that a customer at Kumasi Abattoir is using an unknown meter. After pursuing the customer, he also directed them to go to one Bismarck Tremanting, as whom he acquired the meter from. The ECG officials and the police followed up to Bismarck's house at Kronum and arrested him. The team retrieved 28 electric meters in the suspect's home, out of which 25 are unknown meters and 3 ECG certified meters. The suspect is alleged to have issued a number of the Siemens branded meters to residents in Kronum and the Kumasi Abattoir at a cost of 250 cedis. The suspect will be processed to court. The Revenue Protection Unit of the ECG praised the outcome of the case will serve as a deterrent to persons importing and installing unknown meters in the country. Public Relations Manager of ECG in Ashanti Region, Erasmus Bedu, said they are bent on dealing with all involved.
All those who are making the work of ECG very difficult in Ashanti Region to be forewarned, because this time around we are at their heels and we will arrest them.
The company has advised the public to apply to ECG whenever they need electricity services.
Officials of the Ghana Health Service, after auctioning vehicles in 2014, have refused to pay proceeds amounting to 61,000 cedis into the non-tax revenue account until they were summoned by the Parliament Public Accounts Committee. The Auditor General's report indicates officials quickly ran to pay the money 4 days before meeting the Public Accounts Committee earlier today.
The Public Accounts Committee examined the Auditor General's report from the year 2012 to 2013 of the Ghana Health Service. It was revealed due process was not followed in auctioning the ministry's old vehicles. For instance, it came to light the auctioneer used 3 days in one of the dailies to advertise for the auctioned cars, far below the mandatory 21 days. Officials from the service said most of the cars were sold to their own staff to serve as motivation. This, the Director General of the service, Dr. Anthony Siansari, said the staff applied as citizens but not as staff. A Mitsubishi ambulance was sold for 350 Ghana cedis, whilst an Isuzu Trooper was sold for 2,640 cedis. But the auctioneer was not available as the committee was told he was receiving medical treatment in Aflao. Meanwhile, vehicles which were auctioned in 2014 amounting to 61,000 cedis by the Ghana Health Service was not paid into the non-tax revenue account for 2 years. The service only made the payments 4 days before their appointment with the Public Accounts Committee.
The money had been with them for over 2 years. They have to compute the interest on that money and pay that money to government. So the Auditor General is going to sit with them and use the Bank of Ghana interest rates, which we call the prime rates, to compute the interest that should have been paid on that money. We want to bring this to the attention of Ghanaians that the work of the Public Accounts Committee is yielding good positive results.
The service also mentioned it has reported its former auctioneer, Shelter Marks, to the police for punitive measures, and he has been blacklisted by the ministry for wrong auctioning in the past. The committee adjourned sitting till further notice.
In another development, some members of Parliament have described the decision by the British High Commissioner John Benjamin to come public the alleged visa fraud by some legislators as unfortunate. The MPs say the British High Commissioner's action is premature.
The legislators condemned the action by the British High Commissioner John Benjamin, saying he could have waited for the matter to be investigated to ascertain the truth before coming public with the allegation.
British High Commissioner said he was dealing with it confidentially, I haven't gone out to put it in the public domain if indeed he was the one who did it. Obviously, it's also a breach of faith.
The decision of the British High Commission sounds to me to be premature. You see, it's like being a judge in your own court. And there are so many reasons why people will overstay.
He had written to the Speaker of Parliament. We knew about it. We had been advised. And so I don't see why he should make public this matter when, as between them, or as between him and Parliament, there has been a discussion.
Whilst some MPs said the allegation could further dent the image of Parliament, others believed it would not.
It cannot be that some members of Parliament have committed some offence, so every member of Parliament should be affected. Of course, it will affect our image.
I don't think so. You see, it happened that the people who were involved happened to be members of Parliament, right? But it is not under the cloak of Parliament that they did what they are alleged to have done.
The legislators argued this could also guide them to be mindful of promises they make to their constituents.
We must be careful not to yield to all kinds of demands from constituents. However, you explain that you don't have the ability to do that. Some of them just won't believe you, and it puts MPs under intense pressure.
It also brings to focus the issue of the kind of promises that we make to the electorate, especially during primaries, right? And the kind of pressure that we invite on ourselves as politicians.
Well, the British Home Office is investigating 3 sitting members of Ghana's parliament and a former member of parliament with allegations of visa fraud. The MPs were in possession of diplomatic passports. But who is entitled to a diplomatic passport, and what is it meant to facilitate? Here is a News Desk report.
There are 3 types of passports issued to Ghanaians. There's a normal, service and diplomatic passport, depending on one's social status. Ordinary men and women are entitled to normal passports, while the service type passport is issued to heads of organizations who perform tasks on behalf of government overseas. The diplomatic passport is issued to diplomats, workers of the Foreign Affairs Ministry who have been assigned to work outside Ghana, ambassadors and their nuclear family, high-level officials such as the President, Vice President, Chief Justice and parliamentarians. Government also has the sole right to issue diplomatic passports to any person, although quite rare. It is, however, illegal for diplomatic passports to be used to facilitate the entry of supposed relatives into other countries when not proven. The British Home Office is currently investigating 3 sitting members of Ghana's parliament and a former MP over allegations of visa fraud. By law, persons no longer in the service of the state could not possess a diplomatic passport, making it illegal for former MP for Asunafo South, George Boache, to be in possession of one. Foreign Affairs Ministry has released newspaper adverts asking former members of parliament and the members of the immediate past government to immediately return the diplomatic passports.
Let's turn our attention away from Parliament now into education, as 2 major teacher unions have implored the Controller and Accountant General's Department to speed up work on supplementary budgets to pay teachers who have not done biometric registration by May 15. Unions Ghana National Association of Teachers (NAT) and National Association of Graduate Teachers (NAGRAT) are hoping the supplementary budget would cover the 13,866 teachers who have been affected.
NAT and NAGRAT agreed to the Ministry of Finance decision to allow teachers who have not registered with SNIT to do so. The 2 unions applauded government for agreeing to allow the biometric registration exercise to proceed until May 3 this year. In the meeting, the Deputy Finance Minister Kweku Patin requested Controller to prepare supplementary budgets and pay salaries of teachers who have not done the SNIT registration. Based on that, the Ghana National Association of Teachers (NAT) has pleaded with Controller to speed out the supplementary budget by May 15. Its General Secretary David Ofre-Champon said he is hoping the supplementary budget would cover the 13,866 who have been affected by the exercise.
There was an opportunity for those of our members who have not registered to also do so by the 3rd of May. And going forward, by the 15th of May, the Controller and Accountant General, who was also at the meeting, was asked to prepare a supplementary voucher to pay those affected teachers.
He again called for adequate collaboration between the unions and government on policy geared towards improving the education sector.
Most of the time, migrations are done and we have no knowledge. At the end of the day, 20,000, 30,000 teachers are lost. And then you have to go back through the process of getting them reinstated. And it's not that easy. The earliest you can get is about 2-3 months. Some wait as much as 6 months. And these are frustrating.
Vice President of NAGRAT, Angel Kabonu, pleaded with the Minister of Finance to allow the registration to go on instead of issuing deadlines.
As at now, they've captured people's biometric information. Those who have challenges on the biometric information so captured will have to make appeal to SNIT to correct those errors if it is proven that indeed they are errors. So it's a process.
He charged those affected to wait for the supplementary budget to get their salary.
All those who may wrongly be deleted. All those who have not done it, who have done it, will all be paid by the 15th of May. So it's fair for us to wait till the 15th of May and assess the situation.
The meat product company at Bolgatanga in the Upper East region will soon be revamped. The Minister for Special Development Initiatives, Howard Kumson, visited the facility accompanied by investors ready to get the facility running.
With a mission to create jobs and improve livelihood, the minister visited defunct factories in the Savannah zone. Key on her agenda is the reviving of the meat factory in Bolgatanga. The meat factory was established in 1961 by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and started operations in 1965, but folded up in 1995 owing to managerial lapses. During the tour, the minister and her entourage met the factory manager.
I learned you were the accountant.
Yes.
And you are now the manager.
Yes.
What are you managing?
The structures are there and we have security to take care of.
Mavis Howard Kumson identified the factory as a key economic venture, justifying the need for a revamp.
That factory alone can employ over 1,000 people there to work. So I'm really going to take it up with the Minister of Trade and Industry and the Minister for Agriculture, so that together we can revamp the area, that factory.
Sited in an animal production region and neighboring Burkina Faso, raw materials to feed the factory are in abundance. Although the machines are now obsolete, Halal Ghana, an Asian meat company with franchise in Ghana, is ready to revive the facility.
It's a very viable company. We're going to work in close collaboration with Halal Ghana Limited to expand, to revamp the company, bring in new machines, and then we extend, we do different things.
SADA, on behalf of government, has already acquired an area for a vibrant industrial park.
The industrial park allows you to set up structures for different industries, different companies to come and settle in that place, to process things, to assemble products, to manufacture products, both for the domestic market and the export.
The minister was positive the factory, apart from creating employment, will also improve nutrition in the Upper East region.
Dealing with the Galamsey menace has become the national discourse on hot issues this Saturday. The former Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Dr. Joyce Aye, will be telling us the way forward in the fight against illegal mining.
It is not the fault of the license holders. If you tell them you're giving them a license to mine, it is your duty as an institution to take the issue to Parliament to do that. So I think that, we should make sure that our institutions do the right thing. Hold the institution accountable for even causing financial loss to the state. You see, because
so let's give the Minerals Commission.
Yes, why not?
So make a date at 1 p.m. on Saturday as we watch hot issues with Dr. Joyce Rosalind Aye.
Absolutely. Let's now take a look at how the weather will be faring this evening through till tomorrow morning. The northern sector is expected to be partly cloudy this evening going into tomorrow morning, with a possibility of isolated thunderstorm with rain in the night, especially in the western and central parts of the northern region. The middle and the coastal sectors are expected to have partly cloudy weather conditions with isolated thunderstorm with rain, especially over the northern parts of both eastern and Volta regions. The coast, however, will be mostly fair during the period. Early morning mist or fog patches will be experienced in the forest, high grounds and mountainous areas in southern Ghana.
It's NEWS360. Good evening and thanks for staying with us. Let's do some business now. My name is Nanekia Mensah. Now there's growing debate on whether or not Uber is taking over the taxi business. Well, the evolution of technology is gradually taking toll on transport activities of some taxi drivers in the country. Traditional taxi drivers are angered by online transport network service Uber, but Uber says it is ready to rope in some of these traditional taxis to push the transport service delivery to meet customer needs.
The successes of the Uber commercial transport services in Ghana appear to have angered some taxi drivers who think that Uber is taking away their business. The online service, which comes with an application on mobile phones, has met the needs of several people with their service. This, some traditional taxi drivers argue against as they tout their plight.
You can be here the whole day and you can get about, let's say, 100 Ghana or something, which is not good at all. You, the government, you are benefit out of the revenue. If the taxi drivers are paying the revenue and the others are not paying, it's not good for us.
Uber services are limited to the urban centers and are operating in the country with its share of challenges.
The thing that we like to clarify is that it's not Uber versus taxi, right? It's Uber and taxi. We're an app, really. That's all it is. We don't purchase any vehicles. We don't employ any drivers ourselves. What we do is make available this app that makes it more efficient to get riders matched up with drivers.
In the midst of all the argument of who is eligible or not in the transport business, key fact is what satisfies the customer.
Everything they do, their work, everything is perfect. Let's assume that I'm going to Osu and I take Uber. I don't need to ask the driver how much is it going to charge me or anything, because they have check your price about the journey and everything. So when you reach there, you don't need to say the driver this or that. You just receive the message on your phone and know how much you have to pay.
Most of the taxi drivers, as our local transportation system, are still using the archaic way of getting passengers on board to render service to them. Local taxis can go online and be available, so people don't come and stand through the long queue, especially Uber renders service even in the rain.
Nonetheless, some of these traditional taxi drivers are ready to go all out to work as private car owners.
All the Ghanaian taxis supposed to split it as a private, and we will also stop the revenue. It's let the revenue this thing collapse.
With technology evolving every day and customer needs also changing by the day, it is evident that traditional taxi drivers would have to do more in meeting customer demand as well as making profits from their business. Nanekia Mensa Abrampa for TV3 News. And I'm sure from here the debate would continue. Well, let's move on. And former managing director of Amal Bank, Benson Tokonu, says the country does not need more than 12 banks to function effectively, efficiently. His remark follows proposals by the Bank of Ghana to raise minimum capital requirements for commercial banks operating in the country.
Although some have indicated clearly their intentions to comply with the central bank's directive to up their capital, there are fears others may not be able to meet the target, raising fears the smaller banks may be eventually swallowed up through measures and acquisitions. Some have also attributed the high non-performing loans ratio to the size and capacity of the banks in the country. Currently, Ghana has over 30 commercial banks, with many more waiting to be granted licenses. TV3 Business has also learned the central bank's directive has been influenced by the many requests from banks to be granted waivers to finance certain projects beyond a fraction of their minimum capital. In 2014, a significant level of measures and acquisitions were recorded in various sectors of the Nigerian economy, mainly within the banking sector, which were driven largely by regulatory directive. Following the repeal of the universal banking regime in 2010, by the Central Bank of Nigeria, commercial banks were directed to divest from their non-banking activities or adopt a holding company structure in the event that they chose to retain their non-banking activities. Here in Ghana, the central bank is proposing to increase the minimum capital for commercial banks from 120 million cedis to 300 million cedis, a move which is likely to engender growth and stability within the banking industry. Economist Joe Jackson says the smaller banks may find it difficult to raise the needed capital.
The challenge you have is that there are some local institutions that are much smaller, much less able to raise capital. These happen to be the Ghanaian banks. They're generally the smaller ones. And so the question you ask yourself is, if this process goes through and there are mergers and acquisitions, does that mean that our Ghanaian representation in the financial system will be swallowed up?
Former managing director of Amal Bank, Benson Tokonu, says there are just too many banks with little muscles.
I think we should have just about 12 banks in Ghana. Our economy is not very big. So I think 30 banks or 33 banks is just too many.
Mr. Tokono believes the directive, when operationalized, will bring some stability to Ghana's financial market.
I think it should go to 400 million. On the average, 400 million is less than $100 million. So that 3 banks can merge together, 4 banks can merge together and make a formidable bank, and then compete with the bigger international banks.
And a former chief executive of Volta River Authority, VRA, has backed government's plan to issue a 15-year bond to address the crippling legacy debt in the energy sector. Kwekwe told our reporter Rabiel Hassan the $2 billion debt must be paid to ensure the sustenance and competitiveness of the sector.
Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia announced the plan when he addressed a session at the spring meetings in Washington, D.C., USA. He said the move will give enough fiscal space to state-owned enterprises in the energy sector. This will help them to have strong balance sheets to grow and attract investments. Former Chief Executive of VRA, Kwekwe says banks have already been exposed by the legacy debts.
ECG owes VRA, VRA owes Ghana Gas, and the chain just keeps going. And that is really the big issue in the sector right now. Those debts are not getting paid. They become non-performing loans in the books of the banks, and it was really hurting the sector.
After a 3-year power crisis, Ghana has seen some stability in the power supply situation since 2016. The country currently has overcapacity but has not completely overcome fuel supply challenges.
Installed capacity is about 3,700 megawatts. And the country needs about 2,000 megawatts. So there seems to be a lot of capacity. Having said that, the real problem in the sector is a financial one. The sector is actually heavily indebted, almost by over $2 billion.
Well, that will do for business tonight. My name is Nanikia Mensah-Bampa. Let's go over to Natalie and Alfred to continue. I don't know what you make about,
Yeah, I think it's
Uber
an interesting expose
taxis
that you put out there. But I think the Uber has come to expose the exorbitant charges that some of these traditional taxi drivers sometimes charge.
Definitely, and the debate will continue, but that means they should up their game also.
And their customer service.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Well, let's go to other stories. President Akufo-Addo says government is working towards providing a cost-effective, reliable and consistent energy supply to every home across the country. The president was speaking at a groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of a $953 million gas energy plant project at Tema.
The bridge power is a 400 megawatt greenfield power and liquefied petroleum gas import, storage and transportation infrastructure project. The project to be located in Tema, fueled by LPG, natural gas or diesel. Bridge power is being developed by Early Power Limited Consortium made up of Endeavour Energy, Sage and General Electric.
In the coming months, you will see the bustling of Ghanaians working in new jobs and steel growing out of the ground upon which we stand to eventually become a 400 megawatt power facility. Our goals, therefore, is to empower young people to access, analyze, and apply information for jobs of the future.
The U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Robert Jackson, assured of America's continued support for the energy sector.
This power plant will provide continuous and reliable power to the grid, supplying power to millions of homes for more than 25 years. The plant will also generate emergency power for the Tema Industrial Zone, and this will create an environment that will stimulate more business and industrial investment.
President Akufo-Addo pledged government commitment at dealing with energy challenges.
This project is consistent with our vision to make our country self-sufficient in electricity for industrial and domestic use, to drive the socio-economic development of our country. This bridge power project will therefore be one of several initiatives that will be introduced along the power supply value chain in order to achieve a cost-effective, efficient, and sustainable energy sector.
He, however, admonished the use of electricity wisely.
Let us all also make sure that we use it efficiently. Turn off the lights when you leave a room. Switch off fans when not needed. Iron your clothes in bulk. These are just a few simple actions we can all take.
The president later broke the ground for the commencement of work.
You're watching News 360. We return with the very latest from the world of sports with Theory Nyan shortly. Stay with us.
If you don't get application, where you stop taxi?
Now is the time to be. Now is the time to be a fighter. A game changer. To unleash your...
But let's do some other sports, and there have been auditions at 3 different zones as the search for Ghana's strongest man intensifies. TV3 traveled to Tamale, Kumasi and Takrady in search of Season 6's contestants. Here's a wrap of the auditions from the 3 venues.
With the start date for Season 6 of Ghana's Strongest just around the corner, many will look forward to possibly the most intriguing season yet. And the audition so far certainly points us in the right direction. There was a mixture of rich entertainment and sweeping energy by the athletes across the 3 auditions in Tamale, Kumasi and Takrady. The men were poised to impress the commissioners and the public present. The usual features in the main show, including Ahmed Boache, Godfred Akobila and Mustafa Ahin, were present and did not falter in their qualification to the final eliminator.
Ready to win the strongest, because you can see the performance. It is just beginning, and what is coming is bad. So my fans and everybody should watch out.
The ambition was clear after they eased into the next stage of the competition. The atmosphere at all 3 audition centers was electric as fans trooped in their numbers and made their voices heard in support of their favorite athletes, especially when one notable athlete, Abdurrahman, a man consistently featuring in the auditions for the last 6 years, despite failing to break into the next stage, took to the arena to try his hands on the weights. His appetite and passion was raw and perceptible, but same could not be said of his power and strength. He keeps trying, never makes the grade, but always determined to push harder. Maybe soon enough, he could set the stage alight for weightlifting fans. There was some representation of students at the auditions as well. A student from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and another from Takrady Technical University came through, made huge impressions on the commissioners and were chosen among the more experienced to make the final eliminator in a fortnight. Yao Danso wants to make a mark in the competition.
So something like the sack race, this is my first time. Actually, I have no experience. At least I did my best, so I'm very impressed about it.
There was also a return of Dr. Nindo Hassan. He made an appearance in the Season 4, and when TV3 visited Tamale again, he was present and made it through, showing grit and the required physicality to make it through. The auditions will come to an end in Accra on Saturday, April 29, and we expect similar electric atmospheres as we experienced in the other 3 zones. More grit, physicality and strength will be on show in Accra as we build up to the start of Season 6 of Ghana's Strongest.
Ghana's Strongest, the power to do.
All right, so that's Ghana's Strongest. Remember, the Accra audition is this Saturday. That's the 29th of April, right here on TV3's premises. My name is Theory Nyan, and that's all for sports right here on News 360. We'll bring you some more sports news later tomorrow on New Day. Keep it in TV3 and enjoy the rest of the night.
Nana Prabha has no doubt the finale of Talented Kids Season 8 will be her night. The young singer believes her performances and consistency on the show has proved well enough. Ajamufa Osei has more.
12-year-old Nanefa Praba has been one of the singing sensations of the competition and has been very phenomenal with her act. From her audition in Kumasi, the journey has not been all rosy, but perseverance and determination has been her hallmark.
It's very difficult and I had to put in much effort to reach where I am today.
Efua has won 4 awards on the show, 2 times Best Performer, Best Behaved and Best Costume. Her growth on the show has been gradual and judges have always commended Efua's passion for singing cuts across all genres of the act, and she intends to make a career out of it. She has been able to inculcate different styles of stage performance and also get audience to participate. The Classics pupil of Nagi's Angels Educational Center has her eyes set on winning, and she's putting in her last effort to make a mark at the finale. Efua's trainer, Justice Morrison, said working with her has been amazing because she was a smart kid. He said Efua pays attention to detail and makes it a point to deliver what she's taught on stage.
Right from auditions to the finals, it wasn't easy. Sometimes picking up a song, the lyrics aspect and all that, it wasn't easy. But glory to God for bringing us this far. People should expect something great about Efua.
With prayers and hard work, Efua and her team are optimistic they will take the crown home. The grand finale of Talented Kids is scheduled for May 7 at the National Theatre. Talented Kids, free to play.
Very tight competition there, Talented Kids.
Absolutely, and you know, with DJ Switch, you know, and all of those people.
Time no day.
Time no day, yeah. You know, it's a final to watch.
Okay.
And well, that's it for the news tonight. Came to you live from our news hub here at Adisawe. My name is Alfred Okanse.
And I'm Natalie Fort. News at 10 this evening will be simulcast on 3FM 92.7. There's more news on our website, 3news.com. Next is Do Not Love Me So Much. Stay with TV3.
Someone you can trust, someone you can relate to.